Welcome to A Journey with Food, Body, and Life podcast, a show for self-led women who are ready to step into their own transformation with food and body. I am Haneen, a certified eating psychology coach and a mom of two. I believe it's time for a deeper approach to our nutritional health, one that not only helps us heal with food and body, but also heal with our life. Join me each week for guidance on your journey so that together we'll find your way back to fully loving yourself. If you are tired of the mainstream approaches and you want to go deeper to heal with the root causes of your challenges like emotional eating, binge eating, body image issues, and you're ready to live in peace and freedom, then this is the perfect show for you. Hi there, and welcome to episode 12 of A Journey with Food, Body, and Life podcast. One of the main challenges we face in our relationship with food and body is emotional eating. And although emotional eating is a natural part of our eating experiences, when it is the primary coping mechanism to deal with our emotions and unmet needs, it might turn into a problematic eating behavior that we need to address. So, my aim out of this episode is to introduce what emotional eating is and then share with you the initial steps of how to effectively deal with it. All right, let's dive in. Let's start by explaining what emotional eating is. So, emotional eating refers to the practice of consuming food as a way to cope with or regulate our emotions rather than to satisfy our physical hunger. So, we might seek food not because we are hungry, but because there is a certain emotion that is rising in our body, and the way we know how to deal with it is to seek food. It's a behavior that many individuals engage in, and it is often associated with feelings of stress, sadness, boredom, loneliness, even happiness and excitement, and many other emotions. Emotional eating usually happens with specific types of foods, and most of the time, these foods are comfort foods. So, some people would seek sugary and foods that are high in carbs. Some people would seek salty foods such as chips and salty snacks. So it really depends on the person, but the way for you to be able to identify if this is emotional eating or not, one way is to look at what you are craving. So if it's the almost the same types of food you are craving every single time, this is one sign that what you are going through or what you are experiencing is emotional eating, or at least it's the emotional eating urge. Now, it's also important to understand that emotional eating is very normal and it is part of our human experience. We are human beings, we have emotions. It is not easy and sometimes impossible to detach ourselves from our emotions. And as we are healing with emotional eating, that's not the aim. The aim is not to stop emotionally eating forever and never ever emotionally eat. No, we want to learn how to deal with it, and I will walk you through that in a bit. So instead of looking at your emotional eating practices as something wrong or you shouldn't be doing it, and instead of fighting it and trying to suppress it, what we do in eating psychology is actually embrace this challenge. And I will explain it more in details in a bit, but I want you to shift your attention and your intention of dealing with emotional eating from hating and fearing emotional eating and shift that to a place of embracing your emotional eating, befriending it, because this is how you are actually going to heal with it. And in eating psychology, we believe that Any eating experience or challenge we are going through is most of the time is a sign and a message from our inner world. So same thing applies to emotional eating. If I am experiencing emotional eating, that's a message from my body. That's a message from my inner self. It's trying to convey to me something very valuable. And most of the time, through emotional eating, I'm learning that there is a certain emotion that I'm not tapping into and I'm not healing and dealing with properly. Maybe I'm suppressing it, maybe I'm fighting it, maybe I'm escaping it. So through the urge to emotionally eat and through the episode of emotional eating, I'm learning that, oh, there's something happening in my inner world that I need to tap into. So I am embracing my emotional eating. I'm embracing the urge. I'm befriending it so that I can learn from it and then heal, not just with emotional eating and change my eating behavior, but also heal with whatever is happening inside me. So let's get into more details about what emotional eating is. So, when experiencing strong emotions, some people turn to food as a way to seek comfort or maybe distraction or a temporary sense of relief. So think of the times when you are tired and you want to release this feeling, or maybe you want to re-energize yourself, and then you find yourself seeking that sugary foods you have in your fridge or in your kitchen. Or also think about the times when you felt lonely at night, there was nothing to do or no one around to communicate with and to bond with, and you develop this habit of, let's say, binge watching and then eating something as you are watching. I had one client also that she used to come back home from work feeling very tired and feeling stressed and frustrated, and she had to deal with her family, her kids, and whatnot. So she usually had a very strong urge to eat something crunchy. So she would go for chocolates that have this very strong crunchy texture, or maybe she would eat nuts, or she would eat anything that has a very strong crunch texture. And after diving deep, we discovered that she is seeking these foods as a way to release the stress she is feeling. She wants to bite on something and release that stress. So here it wasn't physical hunger, and that's why she was seeking these foods. She was actually wanted to release these emotions she was experiencing inside. So emotional eating can have millions of nuances and can be experienced in millions of ways. It really depends on what you're going through, how you are using emotional eating or food as a way to cope with what you're going through, and also it depends on what you are going through, what emotion you are going through. And then sometimes you might also seek food because there is an unmet need you are experiencing. For example, you want to feel loved, you want to feel safe, you want to feel entertained. So these needs that aren't being met can also drive you to emotionally eat. So as I said, we are seeking food to release these emotions or to meet the psychological needs we feel that we want. But the thing is, when we eat, this is a temporary relief, you know? So it is not long term. Most of the time, we might experience this relief, or maybe we might experience feeling re energized or entertained. But the thing is, this behavior is not helping us deal with the root cause of why we are seeking food in this way, why we are emotionally eating. So, emotional eating can only soothe us for a little while, but the emotion is going to still be there. So, if I feel lonely and I'm seeking food every single night, okay, I am feeling comforted by food, but the thing is, I'm not learning how to deal with feeling lonely at night. So, deeper work needs to be done to be able to heal with what is happening with me during that period of time. at night. And at this point, you might be wondering, okay, why do we actually seek food to release these emotions or to get the comfort out of it? So here's the thing. This behavior, the emotional eating behavior, is rooted in the connection between food and emotions that develops early in life. So think of it in this way. As infants, we were often soothed with food, and this association can persist into adulthood. Also, another example would be, think of the time when, as a child, your toy broke and then you were crying, and then your mom or your dad or your caregiver offered you ice cream to feel better. So there has always been a link between releasing our emotions or feeling happy and excited and food. Also think of the times when you go out with your friends and you're eating out and you're having a pleasurable experience with your friends, and then you are unconsciously linking pleasure with food, happiness with food, excitement with friends with food. And again, that is very normal. That is totally okay. But we want to address emotional eating when it is our primary source of taking care of our emotions or dealing with our emotions. So I don't want you to stop living your life just because now you are aware that emotional eating has been linked with everything we have done in our life. No, it again, this is part of our experience as humans. It's okay if we went out and enjoyed our meal with our friends, but here's the thing. If every time I feel bored, I have to seek food, you know? So there are many ways to release this boredom or to feel entertained other than food. If food is one of the ways I am approaching this emotion, that's great. But if it's the only way I'm seeking, then I'll have to heal with it and then learn other ways to deal with such an emotion. Now, here is another reason why we seek emotional eating. Eating comfort foods can trigger the release of feel good chemicals in the brain, such as serotonin, which can temporarily improve our mood. So, as you can see, it can also happen because of certain chemicals in our body, and then we wanna feel good in our body, and our brain recognizes this and seeks the foods or seeks what helps it release that feel good chemicals. So once again, this is very normal. This is just the mechanism in our body, and our body is smart. Our body knows how to deal with things, but in our mind, we wanna like decipher and we wanna filter out what is serving our body in a better way and what is not. And one last reason why we might be emotionally eating is because of our culture and social interactions. So, cultural and social factors, such as associations between food and celebration, can also contribute to emotional eating patterns. And once again, it is okay and it is normal. And such a reason is actually a very beautiful reason. And we don't want to fight it or we don't want to eliminate it because it holds so much value and it's such a beautiful thing to have. So think of the times when you travel to another country, maybe you are on a vacation or you're just discovering a new country. Think of the most memorable days or moments you have. Most of the time, it revolves around the food of that country because through food, you are learning about the culture, and through food, you are learning about their traditions. So, traditional and cultural emotional eating is a beautiful thing. But once again, we want to tap into learning when it is not serving us and then heal with it. So, regardless of why you are emotionally eating, when it is negatively affecting your physical and emotional well being, we want to work on healing with it. Because when it's left untreated, it can lead to overeating, and it can also contribute to weight gain and related health issues, such as metabolic issues or maybe digestive issues. And additionally, relying on food as a primary coping mechanism can actually interfere with the development of healthier strategies for managing emotions and meeting our needs, and can create a cycle of emotional eating and unhealthy eating behaviors, as well as guilt and shame and tension with food. So, if you find yourself struggling with emotional eating and you want to develop healthier coping mechanisms, here are some steps you can take. First of all, raise awareness. The number one thing we believe in eating psychology is that we cannot change what we aren't aware of. So, raising awareness is very important as a first step towards healing with emotional eating. So, here, pay attention to your eating patterns and try to identify the triggers that lead you to emotionally eating. So, notice the emotions, the situations, or even the thoughts that often precede the urge to emotionally eating. And this self awareness can help you better understand your behavior, and then you can make conscious choices and then move forward in your healing with emotional eating. Now, here, usually with my clients, here the work is divided into two parts. One part that is directly related to how we are eating and how to deal with the urge and with the emotional eating episode. And the other part is not related to eating, but is related to the root cause of why you are seeking food. So, looking at the first part, here what we do, first of all, we practice mindful eating. So, when you do eat, strive to be present and mindful. Pay attention to your body's hunger and fullness cues. Eat slowly, savor every bite, and fully engage your sensations in the experience. And by being more conscious during meals, you can develop a better relationship with food and make nourishing choices, and therefore you are able to distinguish between physical hunger and emotional hunger. And because you are mindfully eating, you are tapping into your body's needs, and instead of, for example, eating a whole carton of ice cream to satisfy this emotional urge, you might just take a couple of bites or spoonfuls and then you feel satisfied emotionally and then you stop. So it's not an either or type of treatment or way of dealing with emotional eating. Sometimes it is discerning what's best for you based on how you feel in your body, and accepting that emotional eating is part of the human experience. So, through mindful eating, you are able to connect with your body and then decide when you want to stop eating. Now, the other benefit of mindful eating is that when you are slowing down, you are helping yourself relax. And when you relax, your thoughts relax. Your emotions towards yourself and your eating experience relax as well. So, once again, here you are able to tap into your body and to your eating experience in a deeper and in a more mindful way. Now, another thing we do in this part is tapping into the urge and dealing with the urge to emotionally eat, not just with the emotional eating episode. And here, what we do, we try to bring more awareness to the urge, and sometimes there are many strategies to deal with the urge. So sometimes we want to just sit with the urge and let it pass through our body. This is just one tool or strategy to deal with the urges. As I said again, there are a lot of other strategies depending on what you are going through. So, on the other end of healing with emotional eating is addressing the underlying emotional issues and then finding alternative coping strategies. So, emotional eating, as we said, often stems from deeper emotional issues. So here we want to explore the root cause of why we are emotionally eating, what emotions are driving us to eat, how can we deal with it, how can we find alternative coping mechanisms. We want to explore alternative ways to cope with these emotions that do not involve food. And here it's very important to note that we are not distracting ourselves from eating. There's a very big difference. Distraction is a very superficial way of dealing with emotional eating, and most of the time it backfires. What we're doing here is we are bringing awareness and then changing and rewiring what's happening in our brain so that we stop seeking food, or we stop seeking comfort food when we want to deal with whatever emotion or need we are facing internally. So, for example, you might want to explore or engage in activities that you enjoy and that provide a healthy outlet for stress, let's say, or you might want to be engaging in hobbies when you are seeking food because you are bored. So it really depends on what you are going through. And from my experience with my clients, each one of my clients, we have a different way of dealing with emotional eating. We explore different things, we learn different strategies. Yes, there is a general guideline of how to deal with emotional eating, and that's great, but it's really individualized, and that's the aim of coaching, and that is to dive deep together and discover and uncover why this is happening. And then instead of following a generalized plan as a way to deal with emotional eating, we get to tap into the uniqueness of what you are going through, and then we do a lot of customized, let's say, healing process. Now, the last step that I want to share with you is practicing self-compassion, and this is one of the most important steps. So understand that emotional eating patterns can be challenging to break, and setbacks may occur. I see it a lot with my clients, and that's okay. So treat yourself with kindness and understanding, and celebrate these small victories along the way, because it's gonna help you a lot as you are moving forward in your healing journey. So remember, breaking the cycle of emotional eating takes time and effort. And by implementing these steps and maybe seeking support when needed, you can gradually develop healthier ways to cope with emotions and nourish your body in a balanced manner at the same time. Alright, you guys, that's it for today. I wish you a blessed journey with your food and body. Thank you so much for tuning in.